Hello, everyone. Welcome to Open Mic Night Failure Stories. People are joining in right now, so let people continue to join in. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. I see a couple folks from the last session I was just on, so thank you for joining this event. We can spotlight ourselves.
Yeah.
Perfect. Hi, Kim. We just spotlighted you so you're able to see you as well. So we have a couple more people joining in. So kind of the flow and the outline tonight is to help people connect and meet one another. One of the things that we found in both Corey and myself's entrepreneurial journey is sometimes you get caught up in talking about the successes that you're going through, maybe the challenges, but having an honest conversation around your failures, what went wrong, how it went wrong, how you overcame them is really important in the entrepreneurial journey and something that you could really connect with people on stories of failure and how you might have failed. So that way it can help another founder to not make that same mistake, or if they do, knowing that that's okay. That's a part of the startup journey, is to always go through a lot of these processes, and kind of you see a lot of quotes or books. It's like fail fast, fail early. But I think a part of the whole life cycle, even when you're just starting out, even when you have 50 employees about to exit, you always have those little things every day where you learn and can figure out ways to improve. So with that, we're thinking of doing this, having a couple people share like in the full group setting, then going into breakout rooms of, I think we'll do 5 people in each room to start off with. So that way everyone can share like in a smaller area. If you're a new founder, feel free to share any type of insights, maybe little things, even if it's something small. Anything kind of makes a big difference with that. So we're going to go ahead and maybe I'll put Corey on the spot and see if Corey wants to share the first founder's story. We're kind of thinking keep it 3 to 4 minutes maximum for your story, and then let the next person in the group go. And of course, network, introduce yourself so that we are able to make some connections here. So Corey, take it away.
Sure. Hi, guys. My name is Corey Lawrence. I'm one of the organizers here with Rachel of DC Startup Week. And I will be the guinea pig here to share my failure story to give you guys an example of how this kind of works. So I run with the co-founder of IRL Agency. We're the one-stop shop to take your vibe to life. And so I have been working on this business, this agency for a couple of years now. And you know, a year and a half ago, I worked at Discovery Channel for 6 years. I was a photo producer there. I got laid off in their big move up to New York City, and was kind of out on my own. And I was like, you know, I've always been very entrepreneurial. I've always wanted to start my own thing. So I did, but I kind of started out blindly. I'll be honest, Rachel is one of the big motivators for me to start out on my own. So thank you, Rachel, for that and your mentorship. So as I was kind of out on my own, you know, there was this feeling of loneliness, right? As an entrepreneur, I think we all feel. There was definitely those feelings there of imposter syndrome. And then I just really love collaborating as well. And so I felt like finding a business partner would be my best bet. And so I was following this person on Instagram for a long time, and I reached out. I was like, let's grab coffee. And we hit it off. We thought, oh, this is going to be great. Let's start working on some projects together and see where it goes. And so, you know, it wasn't too far into that I kind of realized, you know, I had made a mistake because, you know, I made a quick decision. I didn't take my time to get to know the person very well. Whenever you find a business partner, right? It's like you're getting business married. You get a bank account together and you are legally tied to that person. And so I didn't take the time to really fully get to know this person. And on top of that, my biggest learning actually was I'm a marketer. I'm a content creator, marketer. I found someone else who was also a content creator, a marketer. And, you know, it was a failure, but in the same right, now I'm in the place that I'm at now with an amazing business partner, because I learned I need to find somebody who was different than me. I need to find somebody who brought something different to the table. And now that I've found someone who complements me and brings something different to the table at the same time, I've really found that success and growth in my business.
Amazing. Well, thank you for being the first one to share. So what we're going to do now is we're going to put everyone in breakout rooms. So we ask for everyone to share failures, things that you're overcoming. It even could be a challenge that you're facing right now, and kind of source help from the group. So I'm going to go ahead and create the breakout room. So I'm going to do 5 people per room. So I'm going to be, actually I'll do 6 people per room. I'm creating the breakout room. So you're going to start going into them now. So you're going to see that in just a moment here. All right, so I think it's working.
Let's go to the instructions again.
Hello? See, I don't hear anything, so it's not hearing anything. Hello? Hello, hello. This is
Hello, everyone. We're putting.
hello. This is not working.
Hi, Leon. Can you hear us?
Now I can hear you. Yeah.
Perfect. We put everyone in different breakout rooms. So you should have a message on your Zoom to join into a breakout room so people are able to connect and network. So we see a couple people here who didn't join it.
Okay.
So we recommend to kind of join into different ones to kind of engage. You should have an option where you're able to join in there.
Okay. What happened is I logged in on my iPad and my computer, so I didn't want to be confused.
Two places at once.
Yeah. So I logged out of the iPad, and but in the other one, I didn't see anybody. So let's see.
Let me see if I assign you to a room. You should be assigned.
Yeah.
See, it should trigger you now for you to accept to go into a breakout room.
Okay. I'll wait till that pops up.
Perfect. So see if that works, and you should be in there.
All right. Not yet, but I'm waiting. Let's see.
You haven't got it yet?
No.
Let me try again.
Let's see.
Anything now?
Tyler M. Marie, Shamil Smith.
There should be a pop-up that comes up on your screen.
Yeah. Nothing has popped up yet.
Maybe try to close the Zoom and reopen it so it starts fresh.
I'll do that.
All right, perfect.
Bye.
All right, in the meantime, should we join too?
Yeah.
Hello, everyone. Chat. All right, everyone's joining in. I think they have like a couple more seconds to come into the main group. I see like more people are coming every moment. So let people come in. Leon, were you able to get into your breakout room? He might be still talking in the one because he was in two screens.
Oh, true.
Justin, how was your breakout room?
It was good. We came to the realization that a lot of our failures were unique to us individually, but not unique along the founder journey, and that they all could be rephrased as educational moments, teachable moments, failing forward, and just another step along the journey. And I was saying that the shit's gonna hit the fan, and usually often you're gonna get punched in the face often, and whether or not you adjust your mindset and your trajectory based on those experiences is really what determines and separates those who succeed and those who, well, not to use the word failure, but those who don't.
Awesome. Does anybody else want to come off mute real quick and talk about any insights or anything that you learned from our fellow attendees here on their failures?
All right, we might have to call out some people. So Pat, I'm gonna call on you if maybe you could share some insights or even like the failure that you experienced.
Sure. I was actually just writing you guys a message saying thanks for jumping into our chat room and chatting with us. So I guess we were kind of talking about, partnerships and kind of going off of what Corey was talking about in terms of, matching the right partner up. I was talking about how I kind of want to go, solo, though I do like bouncing ideas off people, like Rachel and Corey were talking about. You guys are, have two separate companies and you bounce stuff off each other. So that's definitely valuable and kind of what I'm looking for here in terms of networking and growing my business and helping others grow theirs. So that was definitely, something interesting. One of the gentlemen that was on the call was talking about how he's in a partnership right now and they're doing projects together. So they haven't formalized anything, but they're doing projects, and so learning from that, it was interesting. And so I actually brought up some questions in terms of what kind of projects I could do, and Corey shared some valuable insight of how I can team up with a similar company in the area and work on something and see if we can develop a partnership. So I really appreciated that. Was that what you're looking for?
Perfect. Anyone else want to share either their failure story, something they learned in their group, or some insights with the whole group? Tashima, Leon, Venkat, any of you guys want to hop off of mute?
I'll go real quick. My group, I was in a group with Justin, he spoke earlier, but our group also talked about kind of the connotation about failing and that, that the word and how to kind of reframe that into thinking about it more like a lesson learned. And I kind of shared, for me, as someone who is kind of afraid of failure, it was kind of nice to kind of think about the word differently and in terms of like helping me kind of move past whether it is a challenge or whatever it is that comes up, but just reframing kind of how we think about the word itself and just kind of the bad connotation that it traditionally has, and just a simple reframing of the word kind of can change how you think about things.
I think we sort of cheated in that we didn't really discuss failure so much as one of the ideas on providing housing for affordable housing. And whereas in the past, these efforts have been challenged, I had worked in the area in the past, and the idea that was put forth, I think is a great idea because the kinks have been worked out, and I think that it's just a matter of persistence. It should be successful, it's needed, and It's in a good area, good location. So from the failures that have been done in the past by others in the industry have sort of made a smooth road for, I think, her idea going forward.
Amazing. So Corey and I have 2 asks of everyone right now. The first ask is if you could introduce yourself on the chat, so name, company, business idea, as a way that we're able to get to know. I know we have about 30 participants. I think that's the best way to do a quick intro on the chat. And it could be a way that you can reach out to you, your LinkedIn, your email. Second one is we see some of you guys on video, but not all. So if you can, we would love to see you, as it makes it a lot easier to engage and more comfortable to share stories and insights. So I see a couple people that are not on video. So I'm going to ask if you could hit that video on so we're able to see you and engage with you. So again, 2 asks real fast. First, introduce yourself in the chat. Second, turn your video on, and then we're going to continue the conversation. I saw a couple videos go on, so thank you so much for that. We love seeing all of your faces. So I think, like, for me, I'm in year 5 of my tech startup U-Pace, and I feel like kind of what Tashima says, like sometimes like failure has like the negative connotation. So I always try to think like this failure is a learning and it's like something positive. Like, I'm glad I learned this now so I can kind of improve it and keep moving forward. I think you have like I've had at least like a lot of failures like go on throughout kind of like the process, pivoting, changes, but all learnings for growth. So one thing is we wanted to ask, does anyone have any stories they might want to share like with a larger group like Corey did? It could be the same one in the breakout room or something that might be different. I believe you're able to like raise your hand or give like a thumbs up if that comes up on the screen, and then we could always unmute you, or feel free just to hop off mute and go ahead and share your particular story or lesson learned or advice or tidbits. We would love to get the community support, as well as keep introducing yourself on the chat as well. Sorry, my sister was FaceTiming me.
I'll just give some advice that I had received over years of learning.
Sure.
And that's to find mentors and listen to others, because as entrepreneurs, typical type A personalities, we often get so entrenched in our work, in the weeds, if you will, and it's often hard to, as I said in our group, see the forest for the trees, and the fact that you might be actually in the work that you're doing, be banging your head into a tree over and over and over and not even knowing it. So it sometimes takes a third party or even multiple third parties from a lunar perspective to be able to come in and help clarify the bigger picture for you, with you, and understand that what you're doing, while you might think it's the right path, might not be. So admitting that you don't know things and be willing to be, as a lot of investors like you to be, coachable. And that means open to new ideas, pivoting according to something that might not emanate innately from you organically. And I think that's something that can really help in the learning process to prevent future failures down the road.
Yeah, absolutely. I was going to mention something that I learned from Christina Roman, one of our incredible speakers. Mason, I see you on video. I saw him earlier on Christina's talk. So I took Christina's 2-day intensive course, and she's really helped change my perspective on work. And one of the things that she taught me was on the other side of I don't know is always an epiphany. And that's really stayed with me. I thought that was really interesting, because whenever you feel like you're failing and you really don't know where your next turn is, instead of just saying like, I don't know, you know, ask yourself like, what is that next thing I need to do? And carry yourself through with the uncomfortability. And then on the other side of that, you will have a breakthrough.
I like that.
Yeah.
It's like sometimes like when you're experiencing that, like you kind of wait it out and you don't like want to address it head on, and then like you keep dragging on, and like you don't realize how that affects like you personally as well when you're not making a decision to be able to move forward with it.
Exactly.
I see some head nods over there.
Hi, I'm in the car, so that's why I didn't want to turn my video on.
No, it's perfect. Well, if you're driving, please look at
Oh
the
no, I'm not
road.
driving. I'm not
Okay,
driving.
good. Perfect. Well, we love seeing
But I was
you
in
the car
I was
and
in
all
a
of
session
that.
earlier with Christina, and I love that session so much. That spoke to me. I'm definitely going to try that technique with she said if you don't know, ask your future self what would you do if you did know, and then do that. And I was like,
I love that. What a quotable
See,
moment.
I never thought about that before.
is your name TA?
It's Taylor Ann.
Taylor Ann. Taylor, so she taught me that, and I've been using it for the past 2 months, and it's been incredibly helpful.
I'm gonna use that now.
Yeah.
I hope we
No,
like
seriously,
tweeted that
I
quote
made
out.
a list
did.
and everything.
Perfect.
Can you give an example of like, what's the biggest thing that your future self has helped you with? Because that was such a revelation. I went to that session today and that was like such a revelation for me.
Yeah, she's pretty amazing. Let me think of what.
I was like, I can answer.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I was like, for me, I already know, like, I struggle with time management. So when she said you need to actually block out your schedule, I was like, Taylor, you need to actually make a 12-hour like spreadsheet and really block those things out. So I'm going home to do that right now. Well, thank you for blocking out your schedule, because then when you're like, oh, I don't know what I should be doing right now, you can just refer.
I think her connection's going out a little bit. Someone asked to repeat what Taylor said. So basically, and I don't mean to take Christina's thunder, so we should definitely put her link in the chat. You should definitely connect with her. But basically, Christina's whole thing is, if you don't know the answer to something right now, ask your future self after you've gotten through whatever this I don't know is, how you accomplished it. And from there, your future self will always give you the answer. And I've used this countless times since I've learned this, and it's always true. You always know what the next thing is. A lot of times it's just simply because you feel like you can't accomplish it, or you feel like that fear of failure kind of sets in, that you know what the next step is, but you don't take that next step to actually accomplish it. And what's also pretty cool is like your future self, your future self always knows, but your future self doesn't exist, is what she says. So it's yourself right now that knows what it is that you need to do next. And it's quite powerful.
So like, what would be an example of that? Like while in the middle of like, you're in a problem and you're like, I don't know what to do. Then I just like take a step back and I'm like, what would my future self do? And then I ask myself the question.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you do?
Yeah.
Cool.
So like, I've been working.
No, it's more like, what did my future self do?
Yeah.
Like, it's done. It has been done.
So I already
And
solved
what
the problem.
Yeah.
So now I ask myself, like, I just say I solved the problem. I had the problem today. Let's say fast forward, it's Thursday morning, I solved it. Then Thursday morning after I solved it, I say, what did my future self do?
So for instance, I've been working on my website like a madman to get it done. And I've been putting it off, honestly, for like 2 years. I felt so much imposter syndrome over getting it done. You know, it's one of those things where you really have to get your messaging like really succinct and really have like your write-up done. And you kind of, as a business owner, have to feel like you have to know who you are to get your website done, right? It's this big existential thing. And so I've putting it off, and I finally asked myself, what does my future self feel like whenever this website is done? And my future self told me, I'm ready to go sell my services. I'm ready to tell everybody to tell everybody like who I am, to tell everybody like, you know, what kind of impact I can make. And making an impact is something that really is a driver for me. And so by asking my future self, that question, and I got those answers in return, then it really pushed me to get my website done. It also, I also asked my future self, like, what do I want my website to look like? And I kept asking my current self. I know this is very existential. I was asking I kept thinking, what do I want my website to look like over and over? And I just was like going back and forth on what I was thinking. I asked my future self, and I knew. I was like, I want it to be like this. I want it to have these kind of case studies. I want this. And then I just went and created it, and it's done. My website is finished after 2 years, just simply because I kept asking myself, like, what do I want this to look like?
Let's add, I know Justin on the chat has something to add. So Justin, if you could just hop off of mute.
Sure. I love the idea of asking your future self. I've been doing that without calling it that for years. I would also add that a note of caution is that in doing so, it's a wonderful exercise, but there is a risk of falling into confirmation bias. And it is, in my opinion, very helpful to without question, go through that exercise and do it often, but then get third-party validation. Say to a mentor, I have had this problem, and here is how my future self has solved it. Does that make sense to you based on your experience? And it's another way of asking for help, but it's asking for help by indicating that you've already found a solution. And sometimes you might be enlightened to find that the solution you have might be in the right direction, but it could use some tweaking. And it's another way of asking for help, but it certainly incorporates the idea of the concept we have been discussing.
I love that. I think that's really helpful. And I love, Justin, I just mentioned about like reaching out to mentors and kind of having a solution. Because sometimes when you reach out to someone like, here's all my problems, what it's better to say, here's a problem, here are 2 or 3 solutions that I thought of. Which do you think makes the most sense? Or let's talk about these potential solutions. So I really love that tidbit. And one that's been so helpful for me is like having mentors and having the community to just jump ideas off of. So that way it's not only kind of my thoughts. And if you have, in my business, I have clients, so I'll talk to them because we build technology for them of learning more about their problems, ask my future self, what does our technology or our platform look like in a year? But sometimes it's asking the people who are paying for your technology or paying for your services to understand where they need the most help with. So I think always asking and taking the role of also like listening to feedback is always important.
Yeah, absolutely. To kind of further that conversation along, does anybody have any experience working with, I know you, Rachel, you do, working with business mentors. Does anybody have any advice on how to find business mentors, especially the right one?
My first one would be like, don't be afraid to ask people to like be a mentor. Like one example would be like at DC Startup Week, we have, I think it's like close to 200 speakers, ton of sessions, ton of people within the community over, I think we're going to be close to like 4,000 attendees across the week. So take a look at the activity stream, take a look at the community board. If someone's title or company reaches out to you that you think could be beneficial as a mentorship, as a partner, especially like our speakers, if someone spoke out to you that you think they could really help you with the growth of the business, that's a great place to start to kind of reach out to mentors, advice, tidbits. It's kind of leverage the DC Startup Week community the best that you can, or even put out an activity stream or put out a message saying, I'm looking for a mentor to help me with X, Y, and Z. The more direct you can be, sometimes it's the better. I started my company UPace right after I graduated from college. So my kind of approach to it was, hey, I just graduated, kind of like, can you help me? I'm thinking about starting a business, this is the idea. So I just was really vulnerable and really honest about the stage that we were in, and just was very direct with ask, like short, sweet, to the point, and a little bit about why it could be important to help me. So I think just don't be afraid to ask would be my biggest advice, and leverage the community and the resources that are available for you as well.
I'm just going to jump in again. Sorry to keep monopolizing, but there's a the SBA has an entire network of mentors across the country called SCORE, all caps, SCORE, and you can look up mentors by geographic region, subject matter expertise, and They normally will meet with you one-on-one in person. Given the environment, it might be virtual, but numerous mentors through that network. Also within the city in which you live, because some folks are not joining from the DC region for this 4,000 plus week. Your mentors don't have to be in your region, but there are lots of startup entrepreneurial communities within different cities across the country that you can leverage. And it used to be that you had to be living in the city where they live, but that's not the case anymore. So take advantage of the opportunity that's now presented to us through all this virtual activity and mentorship. The only reason you might not have one is because you haven't been looking. So just do the homework and you'll find more mentors than you ever thought possible.
I absolutely love that. Is anyone facing like maybe a problem that they're going through right now, maybe a failure they're trying to overcome right now that would be helpful maybe to share that with the group to see if anyone in the group are able to help or support, advice, connections, helping you find the right mentor? I see you raised hand. It's Kayanya, if I'm saying your right name.
I hope that my background is not too loud or that I'm not yelling. But I do have a issue. I'm fine. Okay. Perfect. So with my business, it's a unique concept, completely new. What we do is we bridge the gap between a vehicle owner and a vehicle. So in the instance that's in your parking space, or you notice that someone's lights are on, you can now send that owner a text message and an email anonymously. So trying to get that concept out to the market and let them know that Oopsies does exist has been a challenge. And also getting them to actually sign up for our services. Because I get a lot of people who like the idea. However, I'm not getting a lot of membership because it's a hard concept. It's not a hard concept to grasp. It's just something so new.
So really the problem, what I'm hearing, just to reiterate, is like the acquisition of users onto the platform, like the marketing for people to hear about you, sign up for the platform, and then usage of the platform. Perfect. Corey,
Because of the
Well, one of my first thoughts is actually traditional marketing. Have you thought about organizing kind of a PR stunt in a way where you know how people do like the fake tickets on your car? It might be interesting if not like where it looks like a ticket, but it's just like a little brochure or something you can stick on the car. It might be interesting to create something that's like, hey, did the person behind you park too close to you? Well, here's how you can use my service, and meet people where they're at. You know, obviously they own a car because it's theirs and they park there. And if DC is like a parking nightmare, right? And so if you can leverage that and hire someone to drive around the city and put these pamphlets on cars where they're parked too close together, or you know, something like that, then that could be an interesting way to acquire some customers.
Yeah, I guess I forgot to mention a caveat to that is my barrier to capital at this point, because I am bootstrapping as well.
Sure.
So one of the things that I did, like early on, we were, you know, working with the segment of like universities, and when we were trying to get users of our mobile application, I literally would just sit there and pull up a table, and I would create partnerships. Like, for example, I had a partnership with Kind Bar. So it was like everyone who downloaded the app got a free Kind Bar. And it was something that was free for me besides like my personal time. But they would download the app, they would get a Kind Bar. And that was like a partnership I was able to build out with them, where Kind Bar was happy. They were getting all these people trying their bars, trying it, had brochures out there for them. And then people like wanted something for free that would like cost whatever, it's $3 at the store. So that was like a benefit ad that we were able to do there. So think through like partnerships where you can get like a free item and a free incentive. And then maybe like you set up shops somewhere. I know it's like COVID times, so that could be weird, but somewhere where people are like downtown, and try to market that and figure out what can you do to like spend your time on. A second thing, we just had a panel, and I don't see anyone that was just on it. It was around like be seen, telling your story to the media. So maybe trying to get like some publicity around that too. And, you know, Corey and I might be able to help you with that as well. of, you know, getting some press to like cover what you're working on, because that could be really good free media attention to it. But it also could just be like, as Corey idea, like printing out things like at Staples or your home printer, cutting it yourself and walking car to car and just sticking it on there. So always different ways to do it, or leverage like family and friends to be like, can you take this block and avenue and do this today? So always the more that you can do it, the better. But I feel you, I'm a bootstrapped company as well. So I feel you on the struggles there.
Thank you both so much.
Anyone else have any advice, tips, strategies? Feel free to hop off of mute, or also put an idea in the chat. I see Thomas said for you to send him a DM or a telegram on Alpha Omega Energy. I have a great idea for you. So I'd say connect on the chat or emails, or Thomas, if you want to put your email there. Justin has a sidebar question. When will the recorded sessions from the week be available and where? So we are recording all the sessions. This one, we're not gonna like post it live since it's more of like a personal conversation. So it's just like an internal recording that we have, but all like the panels, workshops, talks, we are planning on posting them throughout the next couple of weeks. I don't want to necessarily guarantee next week because like Corey and I are probably gonna be exhausted after this full week of events, but we do plan on posting them out. We're gonna be putting it all in our newsletter, so make sure you're following our newsletter. Most likely to be Facebook or YouTube, combination of both, trying that out. But they will be like posted week after week. So follow our newsletter and we're gonna keep posting them out post DC Startup Weeks, that way you're able to access and leverage them.
And also we have to get we have to get approval from all the speakers to post out their talk. So if you don't see a talk posted after DC Startup Week, then that's probably why. Does anybody else have any, anything that you want to talk about when it comes to problems you're having or people you're trying to connect with in your business, or resources you want to share?
Since everybody's so shy, I'll have a go. Yeah, I make breakthrough clean energy technology, the best in the world. I started my startup in China, actually, and I pitched across China, 12 cities. Now I pitched in 16 cities across Asia, over 40 different venues. I've never seen a SDG startup deal in 5 years across Asia. SDG means Sustainable Development Goals, so something environmental or whatever like this. So I was just only pitching to Asian people, rich Chinese like this, and now I'm because it's not the same uptake as in the Americas. So now I'm pivoting back, networking to investors back in the Americas again, trying to connect to them. It's a little bit difficult to do over social media. They're not so responsive as they are face to face in there. And if you're way off in Asia, in Cambodia or something, they want to invest to the valley or locally, etc. So it's a little bit hard to make those connections. We're very well developed though. I almost made it to IPO in here already. I signed a $6 million seed round, the biggest in Cambodia history, but we only got 2.5% of the money. And then the investor bankrupted and vanished. We have 14 broker dealers that want to sell our IPO, including 6 underwriters and SoftBank Securities. They want to underwrite us, but they don't seed. So we need to find a seed round. So we're very close. We just need to, I've got all of this technology, solved everything that there is. So if anybody knows a good VC who's interested in a real change the world, there's 4 billion people that don't have electricity, including 80% of Cambodians have no electricity at all, not able to do these things like we're doing right now. They don't have that luxury. It's a huge problem in the world. 4 billion people don't have access to clean drinking water or even toilets. So if you guys know somebody, let me know, and they're going to make a lot of money. I tell you this right now. Thank you.
My first suggestion, Thomas, on the private messages in Tenify, I'd recommend to reach out to Lisa Friedlander. They're one of our title sponsors next, but she's like very well connected within that space. I think she'll be able to help make some connections and recommendations. I would also put it out in the like activity stream, this problem, and have like source it from the community. But we also have a talk, I believe it's tomorrow night at 5 p.m. on VC funding, where we have a couple of VCs. We have Pier 70, Motley Fool, and a couple others that are joining this conversation, and a couple startups who successfully did VC funding, Genie and then Hungry as two of them. So it's going to be a really great conversation. So as I join for that panel and conversation, as I think that will provide a lot of insights, and as well as you can maybe connect with Bob and John, who are from the two VCs on that panel.
Thank you, will do.
So we're hitting upon our 7 o'clock of our 1 hour event of failure stories. So I want to say thank you for everyone for sharing your stories today and being a part of this event and being open and honest with the failures and the up and downs. I know like the word failure sounds awful, but it's something that we want to make sure as a startup community that we're not only talking about the successes and the positives, that we're very open about it's a journey. You have the ups and you have the downs and the hard times, and it's best to speak upon your failures. It's best to learn from each other's failures, give advice and tips of how you're able to overcome them. So that way as a community, we can be open and transparent with each other and really support one another to get to that next stage. So we really appreciate all of you for giving your advice and tips and being a part of the conversation today. And please leverage the DC Startup Week community, leverage myself, Rachel, as well as Corey, Rachel at dcstartupweek.org and Corey at dcstartupweek.org, of ways that we can help you. So feel free to always share with us problems or things, and we could always work on making introductions or recommendations. I would say this week is a little bit busy for us as it's the week, but definitely post DC Startup Week. We work on it year long. So please leverage us as a resource. We are here and we want to support you. So thank you so much. I think Corey posted Christina Roman's website, who had the quote about asking your future self. So definitely feel free to reach out to her. I know she's offering like a lot of discounts because if you say you're DC Startup Week attendees, so leverage her. She's awesome. And thank you. And we'll see you tomorrow at day 3 of DC Startup Week.